A little bit of snow ain't gonna stop me from doing some math. This is properties of logs. The first property is the product rule. And something to take note on here. I mean, this is the product rule right here. Basically, if you see a product of two things within a log, what that allows you to do is to split it apart as addition of those two logs. And so here's an example: log base 6 of 12 plus log base 6 of 3. So here we're going to condense these things together. Because of the addition, then what we do is we combine that into one log. We keep the same base, and we take the 12 and the 3, so 12 times 3 is 36. So that means that log base 6 of 36 is what we get, but then that could be simplified to just 2 because 6 to the second power is 36. Then an example of the product rule used to expand something down here. So log of 4pq, all of these things are multiplied together. Well, any product can be pulled apart as addition of each log individually. So log of 4 plus log of p plus log of q. Quotient rule, basically the exact same idea, only with division and subtraction. So here I have a fraction or division of two things, which then can be split apart as the subtraction of the two logs individually. So here we see that, to simplify this, that because I have the subtraction, I'm going to combine that together to make it division, and then 2,000 divided by 2 is 1,000. Well, log of 1,000 is just 3 because remember that the default base for log is 10. It means if you don't see that tiny little number, like this one down here, like that's log base 2, you don't see that right here. The default base is 10, so 10 raised to the third power is 1,000. Therefore, log of 1,000 is 3, because that's the exponent that it takes to get from 10 to 1,000. And here we're using the quotient rule to expand. So I have a quotient, and I'm going to pull that apart. That's all that's happening. I'm just pulling it apart into more logs. Keeping the same base throughout. Notice that log base 2 throughout. And then I just have, okay, well, log base 2 of 33 minus log base 2 of x. And then the third and final rule is the product rule. And the product rule, power rule, I mean. And the power rule is when you have something raised to an exponent inside of a log, then what you do with that is you just take that power and you move that. You move that just right out in front there. So then that power, that exponent, comes out in front of the log as multiplication. And so we're using that to simplify. Here I'm going to take this multiplication, 3 times this log, and I'm going to bring that inside as an exponent. So then that becomes 4 cubed inside, still log base 8. Well, 4 cubed is 64. So I've got log base 8 of 64. Now that simplifies to just become 2, because 8 to the second power is 64, therefore log base 8 of 64 is 2, because 2 is the exponent needed to get 8 to 64. And that's what logarithms are. Logarithms are exponents. Now, example of the power rule to expand, pretty much straightforward, just like the original example there, just log of 50 to the x. I'm taking that x and I'm moving it out in front as a product, as multiplication. Now let's see an example where we're going to put some of these things together all as one thing. So you're going to see a couple things used at once here. We're going to condense this to a single logarithm. And the first thing I notice is that there's subtraction. So that means that I'm going to have log of a fraction, where the 7 would be on top. Oh, but wait a second here. There's a 2 right here. This 2 is going to become the power of the 12. What's 12 squared? It's 144. So then really what I have here is I have log of 7 minus log of 144. And so then now I've already got the 7 on top, and of course the subtraction is why we have the fraction in the first place, and now I know it's 144 that's on the bottom there. So again, this whole expression, this multiple thing of logs condensed down to this. And we even had to use the power rule there at one point, because you can't just combine these two things in one fraction while there's something like this 2 in front of the log. You have to deal with that first, actually. Alright, and then the last example we'll do here is expand this log. So here we're going to use a bunch of different stuff, actually just about every single one of them, to expand this. And the first thing that we're going to do to expand it is we're going to split this apart because it's a fraction. So I'm going to split this apart as log of x squared minus log of 3y. Now there's still a couple of things that I can split apart from this. The power, of course, use the power rule to bring that 2 out. So now I've got 2 log of x minus log of 3y. But now this 3y, that is a product in itself. And so that 3y, I can split that apart as log of 3 plus log of y. Now I still have the minus sign out here, and I still have the 2 log x right here. But now here's the thing. I have a minus sign in front of all of this mess here. I would have to distribute that. So even though this is a plus sign, because yeah, that's a product splits to a plus, because this is happening after that minus sign is going to distribute on over, and we're going to have both of these will become minus. So the final answer, then, it's still 2 log x, but then now it's still minus log 3. But I hope what you're seeing here is that this also has to distribute over to this plus sign and change that to a minus sign, minus log of y. Alrighty, so take good notes, review the parts you didn't quite get, write down questions if you didn't understand something, and come prepared to discuss this in class. See you tomorrow.